I'd argue from the eye test, it looks much better night and day from game 1 to game 2. And then adjusting defensively to Minnesota threes. You go from allowing them to shoot 50% on 21 of 42 in game 1 to forcing them into a season-low 5 made threes tonight on just 20%, 5 of 25. Luka led the way offensively, 31, 12, and 9. Big game, a great response by LA.
Yeah, it was a must response from the Lakers in game 2 tonight. They had to come out and set the tone with their bodies and their minds and with that physical tone that they had tonight. And they did it by, eliminating, a lot of the easy shots that Minnesota got in game 1. I didn't see too many just wide open, uncontested shots, maybe 2 or 3 toward the end. I think Minnesota's bench last game, scored plus 40 points, I believe. 43 points tonight. I don't think that was
19.
A problem. And, when you get fouled and you go to the line 20 times and you hit them all, that right there helps you make up a lot. So I just thought overall, guys like Gabe Vincent early in the game, they needed to get some of the others involved. He was aggressive. And Luka did his thing. LeBron, I just thought as a team, overall, they were connected and they did it with force. They met Minnesota's force tonight.
Rob, I'm going to have you hold your thoughts. Speaking of Bron, 21, 11, and 7. We'll go back downtown. He is speaking with Mike Trudell.
LeBron, you've said throughout your career, it's all about adjustments in the postseason. What did you guys do after game 1 to get this result in game 2?
We understood that it was a playoff game. I think that's the difference.
So much that you have to put into it on both ends. Can you take me through that play, though? You have a turnover, and Anthony Edwards has the ball at midcourt. Where did you see you were going to be able to step in there, get the ball, and finish?
Just trying to make a play. That was a big possession right there. They had numbers. I didn't think he saw me, in the rear view, so I was able to jump the pass lane and also make the layup.
You guys put a lot into it defensively, LeBron. What was the key on that end, and where did it come from the collective as a unit?
That's what it's going to take. They play hard as hell. We got to play hard as hell. They play with a lot of intensity. We got to match their intensity. So, it's going to be like this all series.
What are you starting to learn about Luka in a playoff context as a teammate as you guys grow in that way?
Nothing. I've watched it for 7 years, so nothing at all. Luka is Luka.
Last one for you. Key as you head now fly to Minnesota for game 3 and 4.
Hostile environment, but we got to come in with the same mindset as we had tonight. Understanding it's a playoff game. No possessions we can take off. We got to play with intensity, energy, and effort. If you're not dog-ass tired after this game, after any of these games, then you didn't give it all you had. So that's what it's about.
All right, go get some rest.
Certainly 94-85 felt a little old school. Rob, your thoughts?
He was focused, man. You can tell by a player's interview. When playoff comes around, the jovialness kind of disappears and getting locked in. You can see right there that he's locked in. For him to make that statement that, he realizes it's a playoff game, I think he has to put that on himself because he's the leader of that group. He's been in his team, been in the league for 20-plus years, and so he has to get this team ready. I think they locked in, and sometimes when you have a week off, you kind of come out a little rusty. And you can really see tonight defensively how in tune they were with one another. I thought the defensive game plan was excellent. The only thing is they need to figure a way out when they ISO Ant-Man up top because that's the only thing. On the wing, they're good. But other than that, I think they had an excellent game plan from the offense to the defense to just, the rotations. Everything was good.
The bad news for the Minnesota Timberwolves is there were 3 days between games after game 1. So Lakers got to read and hear about and watch on TV how they were out physical so badly in game 1. And I thought J.J. Redick set the tone right after that game 3 days ago. He said, we need to think of it as a playoff game. We thought of this as a regular season game. Tonight was a playoff game. And the Laker defense was incredible. 85 points for Minnesota. After losing to this team by 22 a few days ago, season low for the Timberwolves, no less. Lakers forced 3 turnovers in the final 3 minutes and also blocked Julius Randle's shot to end another Minnesota possession. Great job by the Laker D. Alley. They won the game tonight down the stretch.
I think, too, speaking of down the stretch, you think of execution, which was a big focal point coming into this series, as JJ mentioned before, even game one. And you speak of the defense that you guys have all alluded to and discussed. You just mentioned it was a season low in points for Minnesota at 85. By the way, they held the longest active streak in terms of points scored over 100 at 59 straight games. You hold them well below that, 15 obviously, in a playoff game. Big game. How do you now take this and translate it to the road here in the postseason?
Yeah, it was good that they had that type of game in game two when they really needed it. So when you hold a team that low in points who are used to, it sends a message, okay? It's like, what, they only scored 85 points?
Yeah.
So they know the defense can be sticky. It kind of it doesn't throw game one out the window, but they know the Lakers aren't who they played in game one. So they know what they're up against now. And when you go on the road, if you take that kind of attitude, that kind of physicality, that kind of defense on the road, you know, they remember game two when they only had 85 and they weren't getting open shots and they weren't getting uncontested shots and they weren't getting anything easy. It starts to play, you know, and that's the beauty of a 7-game series. You got the same team every night. You ain't got to worry about, you know, traveling different cities. You playing the same players, and that's what makes it tough. That grind. You got to play against the same guy. He knows what you're doing, and if the Lakers can keep this type of defense going, and you know, rebounding, you know, it's gonna fare well on the road.
I think for me, you look at guys like Naz Reid and Conley, two of the guys that kind of like the backbone, they're kind of the glue for them. I think they kept them off kilter. You know, I think Conley had 0 points. Naz Reid was in foul trouble. And we're always going to talk about Ant-Man. We're going to talk about Julius Randle. But you got to let, you know, I always call them the others. And, you know, I call them the specialists. You can't let Daniel and these guys get off. And tonight, the Lakers were able to not let these guys be an impact on this game. And for me, that's what it's all about. Because everybody knows Ant-Man going to get his, Julius going to get his. But those other 12 guys, 13 guys on that team, whatever you want to say, you can't let them have exceptional nights because you go back and look at what Naz Reid did, 6 from 9. Look what Daniels did, 3 from 3. You negate that, you get a win.
Now the Lakers have to go on the road. Obviously, really good home team this year, not as good on the road, and not very good in Minnesota going back to 2021. They've only won one time at Target Center, James and Rob and Allie. So Lakers need to kind of really dial even more into the playoff atmosphere because you got to win on the road. Minnesota already did. They already wrenched back home court advantage after the Lakers worked so hard for 6 months to get a top 4 seed. So now it's on the Lakers to go in their alley in 3 nights. So again, they get a nice break. LeBron said, hey, you got to be dead tired after a game like this.
That's not what he said. Say what he said.
I'll leave that to you guys. You can get away with it.
Yeah.
But they got time to rest. Got to get on the flight, get to Minnesota. But, you know, that game 3 is going to be a big deal.
Look, it wasn't always pretty. You point to a guy like Jaden McDaniels, who was a lot of talk coming out of game 1, and rightfully so. He had 25 in game 1 on 11 of 13 from the field, 3 for 3 from deep. Much more attention to him, obviously, from an intensity standpoint. And you see the result. Naz Reid, the same thing. We always call him the Laker killer. Tonight, not effective or impactful. I do want to kind of go to the flip side of all of this, obviously, from an offensive standpoint, because it always wasn't pretty either. But I will say the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were 20-1 when holding opponents to under 100 points. The Lakers with 94, led by Luka. A lot of talk coming in. How would he respond? He put it on himself. He had 31, 12, and 9. The 9 assists is what I am looking at, obviously, because just 1 in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Key point, Allie. You know, he distributed the ball. Obviously, he's a threat. But, you know, when he's a threat, collapsing the defense and finding guys, that makes, you know, everybody gets involved. And I thought he did a good job of distributing the ball, you know, early in the game, you know, getting Gabe shots, hitting his own shots, and just, you know, taking advantage of the mismatches that he had, even over Gobert right there. So, yeah, assist tonight for the Lakers was way better than it was 23 tonight. So versus 15 and the one he had. So, yeah, that ball's got to move. The defense for Minnesota is too good to ISO too much. It's got to move, and things really finny. Guys get cuts back doors. So that's the key. It's good to see he's distributing the ball like he can.
For me, I was really excited the fact that he just didn't settle for the three. Even though he shot 8 threes, out of the 20 shots, he got to the paint. He got guys involved. When Luka is able to get into the paint and get guys off their feet, he's able to find guys. You saw, Finney cutting baseline. You saw Vando in the corner. You saw all these guys he was distributing. And we know the guys coming off the bench and Rui and Jax Hayes, those guys need you to be the distributor, the facilitator. Whatever you do, get them involved because they can't create shots like you, LeBron, and AR. So those guys depend on you. If he's able to do that more, that puts this Minnesota defense, who's really, really good, on their heels because now they just can't pack the paint because the reason they're so good because I've done this with Shaq, done this with Dream, done this with Tim. When you got a guy back there who can erase your mistakes, it allows you to be aggressive, but you can't be afraid to attack Gobert. It's like, you think about these guys. Gobert is a shot blocker, yeah, but try to dunk on him. That layup Finney missed? Dunk on him. Put the onus on the refs to make this call, and you just can't do this. And so for me, I think they'll look at film and say, yo, don't be scared of Gobert. Dunk on him.
We kept saying in the conference room, that first half in particular, Allie, it was really chippy out there tonight. Yeah. James, Rob, you guys, when you played, there was more than chippy. You had clotheslining, you had guys getting thrown across the floor and only a common foul being called. You got to be more careful in this day and age in the NBA. But I like the chippiness. I like Austin Reeves going at Naz Reid. Naz Reid, he's a big gentleman. His shoulders are so broad. He looks like an elevator when he walks into a room. And Austin Reeves showed absolutely no fear, kind of jawing at him in that second quarter. I just liked how the Lakers responded. Vando, we've seen him kind of be the enforcer a couple times. He also got in the opponent's faces a couple times tonight. I was
như cỗ cả ngày á. Ta thích ăn cá. Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục với các bạn làm vòng. Hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quả dừa. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu làm nha.